If you want to understand astrology, we've got to understand the signs, which we covered in my last video on the basics, and the planets, which we're going to cover today. And then the third piece of this pie is going to be the aspects, as well as the houses. And once you grasp those three things, planets, signs, and aspects, as well as the houses, but the houses are really just, they correspond to the signs. So once you learn the signs, you'll pretty much know the houses. Once you grasp those core elements, now you're ready to read the charts because the planets deal with the what. What is taking place? If it's Mars, it's anger, it's aggression, it's action. If it's Venus, it's love, it's harmony, it's the need for relationship. So the planets show the what. If it's the sun, it's the heart, it's the core of the individual, their ego. If it is the signs are revealing how the what is taking place. So if the sun is in Aries, it's in a fiery way. If it's in Taurus, it's earthy, it's grounded, it's about possessions. So the signs show how the energy is manifesting, and then the the houses show where it's taking place. But the aspects then reveal the dynamic aspect of how the planets are relating with each other and how they're clashing or flowing together. So it's a big picture that comes together for you once you grasp all these core elements here. And in today's class, we're going to dive into the planets, and I'm going to show you the planets in a way where you can really understand it. And hopefully this will be easy to grasp. So you want to follow along with me here and take some notes. If you have a notepad and a pencil, that's perfect. If you guys are here live with me in the Zoom class, I do these live every Friday. And if you do have your camera on, you won't be recorded in the video. So it's no problem if you have your cameras on. I do love to see your beautiful faces. And so get your notepad out and take some notes along with me here so that you can learn this. This will cause you to really learn this very quickly and very easily if you draw along with me here. So um, let's get into it. Let me change the camera here. Boom. Okay. I just need to make sure I have this all correct. Okay. Okay, so first of all, we're going to want to get our zodiac laid out here so that we can then fill it in with the planets. Once you see where the planets fit into the zodiac, you're going to see a pattern arise, and that's where the learning will begin because your brain will go, aha, pattern recognition, and you'll see it, and it'll just all make sense for you. So we're going to start. I like starting with my circle at the top, and just mentally, I'm kind of turning it into 4 quarters. So in my head, I'm looking at the next point, uh, at these 4 points where I'm going to fill the circle in. That's just kind of mentally how it makes it easier for me to do a circle. It's kind of, we have that 1 quarter, then the next, then the next, and then the next. So, it's hard to get a perfect circle. Sometimes it gets all lumpy. But that's good enough. Good enough for who it's for. Then we're going to divide it by quarters by putting a big old cross in there. So now we have the horizon and the midheaven and the undersky. And then we're going to fill in each of those quarters with 2 more pie slices. Okay, making sense? So, oh yeah, I just dipped my headphone in my coffee. Super cool. I just dropped it right into my glass, like dip. Perfect. Okay, 2 more in each quarter. Boom, boom. And then 2 here as well. That gives us 12 in all. Okay, now we have the 12. Now let's go ahead and number these. You want to see the numbers in your head. You want to be able to know this is what the 4th slice looks like, and that the 6th is right over here, just underneath the descendant, this horizontal line. 7 is this next one right here, opposite 1. So we want to know in our heads that 1 is opposite 7. 2 is opposite 8. 3 is opposite 9. 4 is opposite 10. 5 is opposite 11. And 6 is opposite 12. Obviously. Okay. Now, let's fill it in with the zodiac symbols real quick. So just follow along with me if you don't know them. We've got Aries, Arise. Aries, the first sign. Then we have Taurus, which is a crescent moon facing up and a circle. It's the bull. Here's the ram. Here's the bull. Next, we have the twins, 2 vertical lines joined together by 2 horizontal lines. Gemini. Sorry if I'm going too fast for you, but you can always pause the video when you watch the replay. Cancer, we have an upside, a 69 on their side. Giving and receiving, it's the crab claws. Here in Leo, we have a circle with a tail. Big swoopy tail. It's the lion. Here in Virgo, we have an M. Okay, and then you got a little thing sticking out that crosses over. Her legs are crossed. She's the Virgin. Then we have Libra, a setting sun on the horizon with another horizontal line under that. Libra. Next we have Scorpio, Scorpio, which is another M, but this one curls up with a devil's tail pointing upward. Scorpion stinger. Next we have Sagittarius, just an arrow, just like that. Next we have the 10th sign, which is Capricorn. So we've got this V shape. We start off with the V, then it comes down and creates a little circle right there, and then it curves inward right there. Capricorn, it's the knees, the kneecap. And then we've got Aquarius, 2 lightning-like things. It's the water flowing from the urn of the heavenly man, the water bearer. And then 12th sign, we've got Pisces, 2 crescents facing opposite directions joined by a horizontal line. Okay, so there we got our signs. Now we have where our signs are at. Beautiful. Beautiful. So if you want to color code this, that would be great as well, if you want to. It's a little extra work than I want to do in this video. But if you do want to color code it, 1, 5, and 9 are the fire signs. Okay. So there's 3 fire signs. Fire and fire. Right, and this is good to know because this will allow you to kind of see it very clearly in your brain. In fact, let me do that real quick. Okay, so boom, we got the fire. The red is the fire. Here we've just colored in our earth signs, which come right after the fire signs. Okay. Next, we've got our air colored in, comes right after the earth to provide the communication and connection after that solidification, which takes place after the earth. And then we have water, which is the blue, which comes right after the air, helps bring some feeling into it after all that thinking in the air. So what is the zodiac? What is this? Okay. It's good to have a clear understanding of what we're dealing with here. Focus on me. The zodiac is the psyche. It is, you could think of it like you're right in the center and all around you is the zodiac, your whole psyche. If you look up, opposite that is down. So you're looking away from down. So when we go into what we're conscious of, we're looking away from what we're unconscious of. When we look at what we love and what we want, what we value, we're facing away from what we don't want, what we have an aversion to, what we don't value. All opposites are contained in our psyche, no matter where we look. When we look at a quality we don't like about ourselves, that implies there are qualities we do like about ourselves. So there's this dance, this play of opposites in the universe. We have night, and then we have day, and then we have a season where the days are very long and the nights are very short. And then we have a time of the year where the nights are very long and the days are very short. There's this interplay, which creates this harmonious yet dynamic balancing act, masculine and feminine, day and night, sun and moon. And these opposites play out within our own psyche. The zodiac is a pictorial representation of that play, which takes place in the psyche. So as we study the signs, that's what we're studying. It's not so much that Aries is a personality type, but the correct way to think of it would be that Aries gives rise to a particular personality type when that archetype is accentuated, is accented, when that archetype is pronounced, meaning somebody's born when there's a lot of planets in that section of the heavens when they take incarnation. Okay, so these planets are circling above our heads all the time in the sky, creating unique combinations all the time. And they have set periodical appointments to be in certain signs at certain periods of time, each of them with their own unique cycle. And so at the moment you were born, the planets were making a unique combination in the sky, totally unique. And their locations and distribution throughout the zodiac reveals the unique distribution of character traits that you carry within this life of yours, this incarnation. So those placements of the planets are revealing what archetypes are most pronounced in your psyche in this lifetime. So if you have a ton of planets in Aries, you have a lot of the warrior archetype. If you have a lot in Pisces, you have a lot of the mystic archetype. If you have a lot in Virgo, you're the fixer, the builder. If you have a lot in earth signs. So this is how we're reading this. And the zodiac, more than just being, okay, this is your personality, that's his personality, that's hers. The zodiac is revealing the wholeness of the psyche and in what particular way this energy is opposite that energy. So let's take a look here. And the planets are going to fill this in for you and make it make sense, I think. All right, so let's go like this and like that. Okay, cool. So is that looking good? Is that right side up for you? So basically, what do I mean by it reveals the particular qualities of opposites and how we can harmonize them is, sorry, I'm trying to get this all perfect, is, for example, we have Aries as the start, rules the head in the body. And so this is all about the selfhood. So the first planet, now we're going to fill it in with the planets here. The first planet that has rulership over this sign, Aries, is Mars. And Mars is the Roman god of war. The symbol for Mars is just the same symbol for masculinity. Um, we've got a circle, which represents spirit. It's a symbol for the spirit. And then this energy shooting out, this directed energy. So this is masculine energy. This is indicating masculine energy comes first. We go first. We have this spark, this impulse to act, to assert ourselves. And complementary to that, fire, right? This initial impulse for action, this archetype of the warrior, the one who goes first, who pushes in front of the line, who asserts and says, I am, right? So actually what I'm going to write here so that we understand these archetypes a little better is the key phrase. What is the key phrase for this first sign? I am. It's the establishment of an identity. Okay? Because that's the first thing we have to find out is who am I? Who am I? So Aries says, I am. And complementary to that would be Venus energy, feminine energy. So for that, we have the circle of spirit above the cross of matter. So the feminine deals more with the emotions and the spirit of things. It's about the movement of energy as it moves through matter. Whereas masculine energy is more about, it's more about directly dealing with the material world. And, it tends to be about what's practical and rational And this feminine energy here really complements this energy. So here mainly with the first house, we're dealing with the self. And that's what Mars really helps us deal with is selfish things, things we need to do for our own selves. So it deals a lot with survival as well. But here we have Mars, which rules Aries. Again, this archetype of the assertive one, the aggression within, the heat in the blood. Actually, Mars does rule over iron, which is the hemoglobin in the blood, which gives it that red hue. Just like when iron rusts, it gets red. So this is that redness from the red planet. And everything we see in the world that is sharp, made of iron, deals with fighting or asserting, that falls under this archetype where we perceive it through our psyche because it's an impulse from within us. So some would say, in the Romans especially, they were very heavily ruled by this energy. They were all about their military and expansion of their territory through conquest. And they would pray to this archetype, to this lord, that it would take over their psyche. And it does. It's almost like if you say the right things to, piss somebody off, you're kind of summoning this energy to appear and to take over their mind. So where are we? Well, the true self is right here in the center. This is where the self is at. Unfortunately, most of us are not centered. We tend to be at the circumference in whatever energy we're coziest with, and we get there through identifying. So whatever archetype we tend to identify with, that'll be revealed through our chart. And then with awareness, hopefully we can reach the center and then we can actually choose. We have freedom of choice. And we see what is our most natural inclination. We see what's most natural to us, our preferences, how we tend to act most naturally. And by seeing that, we can flow with that with the lines of least resistance. But with awareness always is able to bring us to the center so that we choose how we respond to life and how we act. Without awareness, we just act out our lives and we call it fate. And we attract to ourselves our own fate, which is the result of our own past actions. So this astrology system here is a tool for awareness, essentially, first and foremost. Okay? So Aries is self, Libra is other. Libras, because they're heavily dominated by this archetype, very perceptive. They're all about other people. They're very attentive to others. They base their own identity off relationships very often. And Libra says, I weigh. It's the archetype of the judge. Even the judicial system has their symbol as the scales. Did I spell that right? Is it I before E? No. No, it isn't. I before E except after C, and in the case of the word way, I guess. Okay, anyways, next, archetype. So here in the psyche, first of all, what we see is this theme of self and other. I am and I need to weigh myself against another. So we have self and other, two very important departments of life, obviously. What comes after that? Directly after the self is established, we have our possessions, our resources, our body, our talents, the things that we can say we have. So Taurus says, I have, or I value, because the extension of your identity is what you have, or value, what your values are. It's a big, it adds a lot of stabilization to this identity thing. When you understand what your values are, now you can understand how to act. And of course, earth signs are about action in a big way. And the planet that rules this earth sign, Taurus, right after Aries, is Venus. Venus rules Taurus because Venus is this aspect of what we love, and it's our comforts, and it's the possessions that give meaning to our lives, but also security. So Venus has a lot to do with money there. And the feminine, of course, loves to fill the home with lovely furniture, lovely decorations. So this is a sign of fullness. And what you have fills your life. What are you filled with? And of course, the energy that complements that is Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars. Once again, lots of Mars and Venus going on, huh? Because these are some of the most elementary archetypes and some of the first things that we have to deal with. is masculine and feminine action and, giving, as well as being passive and receiving. And we need a balance of both. We act in the day and then we rest at the night. And it's this balance that creates a healthy psyche. So Scorpio is a water sign ruled by Mars. Interesting, right? So we got masculine energy in this feminine, watery kind of energy. Here's another way to understand this zodiac, this psyche. It always has a plus followed by a negative. So an active sign followed by a passive sign. And it's always got this dynamic interplay of positive and negative. So fire and air signs are positive, earth and water signs are negative. Because water receives, earth receives. Fire is active, it's yang. Air is also yang, it acts upon. The air acts upon the waters, create waves, and the fire acts upon the air to create wind. And then the earth is, of course, the most passive. Okay, so here with Mars ruling Scorpio, it has to do with sex and depth and intimacy and rebirth, and it's about going deep and really getting in deep. So that complements Taurus, which is more on the surface. It's more about I like the color of couch that I have, and maybe we could put a cover on it, and it's surface layer, which can lead to superficiality. But it's about I really value a certain colored couch. I really value the furniture I have. I like these things, It's it provides it is meaningful. It's not all just materialistic, but without the balancing of Scorpio here, it would become materialistic. So Scorpio provides the depth of how it makes me feel. I like that particular color couch because it really brings me back to what my living room was like when I was a little kid, right? So it provides this emotional depth and meaning to our values. Also, without this depth of Scorpio, our relationships can just get based on pleasure. Well, you're not making me feel good anymore, so I don't know if I'm going to stay committed. And Scorpio can really find that bulldog bite, that commitment to just go deep and deep and deeper. So here we're seeing a balance between Mars and Venus. And the signs that are ruled by Mars are opposed by Venus signs. Okay. So now when we come to the third sign, we've got an air sign, which is of course going to be about communication. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So we've got an upturned crescent, circle of spirit in the middle, and at the bottom is the cross of matter. So this is a symbol of interaction between worlds, understanding the higher and the lower. And Mercury is the messenger of the gods, rules Gemini, and Gemini says, what does Gemini say? It says, I understand, or I speak, or I think. So we could put I think. But this is really a sign of communicating, of understanding. All right, so here, this is the archetype of the thinker, the communicator, the mover, the connector, the student, right? The learner, the educator. And complemented by that is Sagittarius, which is ruled by a very big planet. In fact, it's the biggest planet by far, Jupiter, biggest boy in the solar system. We got the crescent of the soul and then the cross of matter. So the crescent of the soul is dominating the cross of matter here, symbolizing that meaning and feeling and our connection to the worlds beyond this world is taking precedence over the material world of matter with its four crosses, with the four directions, four elements. So four tends to represent the material world. And so this is showing that Sagittarius is a sign of philosophy, of higher learning. And that complements our lower learning, where we learn the facts and the details and the information and the data, statistics, logistics, all these things, which are very left brain, are complemented by this right brain search for meaning. So what does all this data mean? How are we going to turn what we're learning into meaning, which will expand the mind, rather than contract the mind inward on, oh, this is what I know, this is what life is about, I'm so knowledgeable, my head is all full of this knowledge. But Sagittarius complements it and says, what does it mean? How are you going to make it so that it adds fire to your life, a spark of joy or understanding? Okay. And how ultimately can it improve your social relationships as well? Because Sagittarius comes right after Scorpio. So after we have the intimacy and the sex and the depth of transformation in Scorpio through raw emotional experience and the acceptance of that, then in Sagittarius, it's like, okay, that was some mind-blowing, intimate interactions I had there. Now I'm inspired to apply that libido energy into a higher direction. So, you know, to explore the world and to travel and to find new ways to share this depth. And that's everything that complements whatever we learn in our head, whatever stimulates our brain, whatever we communicate, what is meaningful to communicate. Because otherwise, without Sagittarius, Gemini is just, we're gossiping, we're talking about nothing. We're just talking to talk, talking about the weather, talking about Becky and how she broke up with Ken and all this crap. Okay. Then we come to the fourth sign and welcome in Barbara. We're happy to have you here. Here with the fourth sign, we have Cancer, and Cancer is the only sign ruled by the moon. Ah, the queen of the night. So Cancer is the water sign to appear. Now, the first one, if we start in the sequence from the first, and Cancer's key expression is, I feel. So this is the initial archetype of the feeler within the psyche, which of course provides the nurturance and the glue to everything that's gone before. So in Aries, it's identity, and Taurus, it's our values, which fortify the identity. And then in Gemini, it's about learning and thinking about things that can fortify our values. So why do I value this? That's what Gemini starts to ask and figure out. And then here in Cancer, it's about how we connect to our values and to ourself. And really, it's our roots of where we've come from, our ancestry, everything we've inherited. It's our connection to our mother, who is connected to the first mother, because we're all connected down through our belly buttons to the first mother. If you really think about that, that's incredibly mind-blowing, actually. It's something we take for granted, but just think about that crazy fact, which is your belly button was connected to the umbilical cord, connected to your mom's belly button, and she was connected to her mother through that, just as her mother was connected to hers, all the way to the first mother. So we are all literally tethered through that cord to the first mother. So this has to do with a lot of what's unconscious as well. There's a lot of drives that are just biological and automatic, which drive us to create a family of our own. And this is the nest. So this is our roots, where we come from. This is the home and family. Everything that's personal is what Cancer is about. That's why it has a crab shell, to protect what is most vulnerable, most personal. It's like when you take things personally is when it hurts the most, because this is our vulnerable underbelly. So this is the archetype of the mother, the soft one, the nurturer, as well as the healer. And what complements this energy, this base energy of this is me, this is my personal self, is the energy of Capricorn, the 10th sign, which is about career, and it's about your social stance that you take in the world. So this is the sign, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, which we have a cross, the cross of matter, and then the crescent is beneath that. Sort of like Jupiter, but it's like flipped. So here we have the cross of matter dominating this crescent of the soul. And opposite is this crescent of the soul. So here we're seeing another balancing act where, yes, we have this soft foundation of where we come from and who we are and what we've inherited. But how do we take all that? How do we take the materials of our past and apply it towards the future, or towards the benefit of our society, or towards the benefit of our own career, of our own stance in society that can help create more security? So Cancer is about emotional security, especially when we have a strong foundation of two loving parents. It's much easier for us to find our own inner security and to grow with that as children. And here in Capricorn, it's It's about our contribution to society, our career, our skills, and how we're being perceived in the real world, in our shared collective society. So that's everything Capricorn brings. It's very earthy, so it's very practical, and it's like, you can't go out looking like that. What will people think? So it's all about reputation. And that, thinking of that does complement who you are being in the privacy of your own home, you know? Who are you being when no one's looking? And that's called integrity. And so the fourth and 10th signs really deal with that integrity. Integrity of being who you need to be for your family, for those who care about you the most, and being who you need to be for the people you don't know, but who might discover you and who might buy what you're selling and need what you're giving. And it really comes from this foundation of, the things I've grown and the things I've healed that are most personal to my story. I'm taking those lessons and I'm helping others so that they don't have to suffer in the way that I have, or they don't have to feel the way that I felt. And it's really about learning from how life has impacted you and packaging it in a way that has value and can have value to others because they're going to go through some of the same things you went through. So that's what those two archetypes are all about. By the way, opposite I have Taurus is Scorpio, which says I um what is it? I transform. I think that's what it is. There's a few different key phrases, but I'm pretty sure it's I transform. Transform. Too long of a word. I transform. All right, I change or, and it's all about depth. Okay, next. So opposite Gemini, I think, is I see, because it's the philosopher. It's very intuitive. I desire. Yeah, thank you, Henry. Yeah, also I desire goes here as well, which, complements that fullness of Taurus. I have. What's the opposite of having? I desire. So it's what you don't have, especially because Scorpio is the sign after Libra, which is the relationship. It's your perception of the other person. So it's you looking out. And then after that, with Scorpio, especially dealing with the water and the emotions, it's saying, I want that. I want that thing that's outside me, whether it's your lover or a job or something that, you feel you're lacking. So you desire it. And this, of course, moves you to take action. That's why it's a Mars archetype. This Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So it's all about seeing beyond and expanding outward, which philosophy helps your mind to expand beyond its limits. It's higher learning. Then opposite I feel, which is Cancer, we have Capricorn, which is I use. This is the need to be useful in our world, our shared world. I use. And then we come to Leo, which is the sign ruled by the sun. This is the archetype of the child, the son, or the daughter, as well as the father, strangely enough. It's a little bit of both of those. Um, this is about creativity. It's Leo, which says I show or I create, either one there. But Leo does love to show, and especially to put on a show and to be the show. So this energy, which is warm, the heart of summer, and leader-like, and regal, royal, it knows its divinity because the heart grows from the home. So after there's this nurturance, now there's this radiance. You nurture me, and then now I radiate. Now I'm ready to go out and shine and share and show people who I am and my talents and my gifts. And so all this comes from that foundation of nurturing, which is Cancer. Okay. So here with the fifth sign energy, Leo, what really complements this and brings this into balance is the social and humanitarian awareness of Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn. So here we have two Saturn signs side by side here in the dead of winter. And they're both opposite the lights, sun and moon, which is very interesting. And Aquarius says, what does Aquarius say? So, yes, Aquarius says, I know. And yes, Aquarius is all about innovation. Innovation. But it starts with, I know. So Capricorn goes, oh, what can we do? People are acting crazy. We're going to have to do martial law or lock down some kind of hard restriction or limitation being Earth. But Aquarius goes, no, I know. I know what we can do. I have an idea. I'm innovative. We need a revolution. We need to respect the people. Aquarius is the humanitarian. It's one of the few, it's the only sign that's actually fully human. Sagittarius is just a centaur, half human, half animal. This is the one that's fully a human, and it's an angel. And this is the angelic energy, which needs to take form. So it's ruled by Saturn. It's also ruled by, secondarily, ruled by um, Uranus, which is a strange symbol. It's got the two crescents, the two wings, because it's the Lord of the heavens. And then it's coming out of a ball like that, something like that. And so that's Uranus. Uranus rules Aquarius. Sort of similar to Pisces, if you could see that, but it's its own thing. Uranus is the tradition or the modern ruler, but Saturn is the traditional ruler. Yes. Yeah. Somebody said in the chat, of all the signs, I've always associated Aquarius with an alien. Aquarius is very alien-like, and I have Aquarius rising, and I feel like an alien here for sure. It's this energy of being different, feeling different, looking different. But really, that's arising out of the unconscious need to, Leo, be accepted. So these people, like when you dye your hair purple or whatever, and you make it look totally different, now everyone's got all these weird colored hair because it's about being different, but the urge to be different is because of the unconscious seeking a way to blend in. So yeah, so I mean, it comes through just accepting yourself and shining from your core, which is Leo. Yeah, not belonging slash fitting in, right. So Aquarius has that acute sense. Well, I don't belong, I don't fit in, so I'm going to color my hair a strange color, just for an example. And not so Aquarians need to realize that that impulse itself is arising from this unconscious Leo place. Just like Leo, the need to shine and be seen and be authentic and unique and creative is arising from this unconscious place of um, not fitting in Aquarius or fitting in. Because Aquarius is a little of both. You either fit in fully, it's like we're a group, we're a collective, we're a society, and we need a revolution for all of us. Or it's I'm the alien, I'm different, I'm totally individualistic, and I'm not like any of these other people. But it's a very tricky thing in the psyche there because uh, individuation is not fully about being an individual. It's about being so much a part of your collective, so much a brick in the castle with all the other bricks that you are the whole castle now, you know? You are the group. You have purpose. And that's, of course, what causes people to go mad many times is whenever people get together in a group, or a crowd, riots can start. People can act crazy because they get this hive mind thing. So which can lead to death. So Saturn is the lord of death, really. And it's opposite the moon and sun here, which are the lights, the right and left brain, masculine, feminine, the core life principles. So yeah, with these collective urges within the psyche, we really need to balance that with our heart and with our own personal stories and realizing that each of us has a mother and each of us has a father. Everyone who's here was born because these two energies fused for good, for better or for worse, in love or in trauma. This is what we arise from. and the collective has no life of its own, really. It's got its own established rules and laws and boundaries, which are necessary, but not always in balance with the individual life within. So that's what astrology is teaching us here. And the next after Leo, we have Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. Mercury. Again, big crescent. I don't know why I did the crescent that big, but yeah, crescent, circle, and then cross. Mercury. And Virgo says, what does Virgo say, you guys? Virgo says, I analyze. I analyze. It's all about analysis. It's all about greasing the wheels, greasing the gears, making things run smoothly, tune-ups. Because after we are all creative in Leo and we're shining and being larger than life, embracing all of life that life has to offer, we're putting ourselves out there, expressing ourselves in a solar masculine archetypal way. Then Virgo comes in to say, I think we did that scene a little bit too long, or you were just too loud when you said those lines. And so Virgo goes, you know what? We need to chop this. We need to edit this out. We need to fine tune this because we want to create the most perfect play, don't we? We want to show it in the right way. So let's make sure we have it all analyzed and we think about it and we're organized and we're showing up on time. We're doing all the things we need to think of and think through and stay by that schedule. Okay. So that because it comes from that Leo place. So every sign that comes after every other sign is always there to compensate it. Aries is a little too headstrong. So Taurus comes in and says, let me simplify it. Let's slow down and let's be a little unsure and confused because we were just a little too sure of ourselves in Aries. Then Gemini comes in and says, okay, let's be more curious now and let's actually complicate it a little bit. And let's ask some tough questions. Taurus, because you're a little too simple there and you're just staying on the couch all day. So I'm going to go to the neighbor's house and I'm going to just talk with them. I'm going to check out what their couch is like. And then Cancer goes, yeah, but I love my couch, Gemini. So let's actually make sure the home is stabilized and that we're not going too crazy and that you take off your shoes at the door, Gemini, because you just walked all over the place and now you're getting dirt in the house. So Cancer goes, let's feel. Let's slow down and give some more feeling. But then Leo goes, okay, we've felt enough. We've cried enough. Now it's time to laugh. It's time to go out and party because we've just been inside resting and getting comfortable. So now it's time to let ourselves be seen and spread our wings wide as we leave the nest of Cancer. But then Virgo goes, okay, so now we've left the nest, Leo, and we're shining, but maybe we need to dim our light a little bit just so we can last that much longer. Maybe we need to switch out these main brand Cheerios for this off-brand one, which is actually organic and there's no sugar. That's much better for us. And Leo's like, Virgo, you are absolutely crazy. You are analyzing everything. But Virgo goes, look, if we don't do that, we're not going to come into balance, which is Libra. And Libra says, yeah, but we do need some balance, Virgo. You are kind of obsessing over those Cheerios. And honestly, not that big a deal. So Libra goes with the flow in an airy sense. But it is about weighing. It is about saying, okay, Virgo is right. These off-brand Cheerios are much better for us. And then our teeth aren't rotting, so our breath doesn't stink. So now we can actually go on dates. So everything we do in Virgo helps us get better in our relationships. Yes, Virgo is about health and healing and paying attention to those little things. And as we do that, keeping our skin clear, our hair brushed, all that stuff, now we're presentable to go on dates, to find a mate, which is what Libra's all about, balance and interacting and cooperating and finding a partner. And then in Scorpio, of course, is where that partnership reaches new depths. This is where now you have a contract of marriage. Libra is the handshake, but Scorpio is the where you're both naked and you're raw and nothing is hidden anymore. And by that deep feeling of what it's like to be known by another person, you are transformed here in this archetype of Scorpio. But what's opposite Virgo before we continue? Well, opposite this nitpickiness of the material world and being grounded in reality and what's healthy and what's not, what's helpful, what isn't, what is causing us to have friction and not be productive, and what does create productivity, all that sixth house kind of stuff. Opposite that is Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion. Pisces does have a modern ruler, which is Neptune, god of the sea, the oceanic subconscious. The last sign, the water sign, this is a sign of pure forgiveness and release. Because Virgo goes, I remember what you said last week, and that really hurt my feelings because you talked about how my hair looked goofy. And that little detail that you pointed out to me that I'm obsessing over now is crippling me. It's causing me to contract with this earth and get all crusty. And what complements that is Pisces, is letting go and letting it flow and just letting it drift down the river of forgetfulness and saying, I forgive that person for saying that. They are just projecting their own insecurities onto me. This is very wise, spiritual, healing energy here in Pisces, which says, I know that it's not personal. I know that they're just reflecting back to me whatever is in their psyche. And I can obsess over it and take it personally, or I can just let it go and forgive them. And through that, we grow our soul. Pisces says, I perceive. Perceive. It's about seeing directly into the spirit of things, into the heart of the universe, into seeing that we're all a part of the same one ocean. Here in Cancer, it's, no, this is my little pond. This is my family. This is what's close to me. This is what matters to me. This is my home, my family. And Scorpio is about, wow, this is my partner. This is my investment. This is my desire, what I feel into that I want to transform or transfix myself onto. And in Pisces, it's about, this is all of us. This is all of our emotions. All the emotions I feel are the emotions of all humanity, of my whole race. It's where you let everything go and you forget it all so that you can do it again in Aries. It's where you just completely forgive, and through that you forget, and the pain is not reminded in you anymore. You can actually forget about it and be free. Or it's where you fall into complete delusion and you forget about what your purpose is. You forget about why you went through all these steps in the first place, and you have to go through it all again. So it's forgetfulness, which can be a positive or a negative, just as Virgo is rememberingness. So I remember what you said, I remember what you did, and I remember what I did last time, which made it so that I didn't do so well. So it's very critical energy, which is, of course, complemented by this very flowy, forgiving energy. And see how we need both? You see how all opposites complement each other? This is the value of astrology that I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I do this. This is why I talk about it, because this is a system that reveals duality is what we live in. And there is a hidden underlying unity, which is what we see when we solve this riddle. Everything we see in life falls under the rulership of one or more planets. And usually it's a combination. Everything we see in our consciousness has a shade or another of these zodiac signs. And if it's one, then it's the other one. It's the opposite as well. If it's, come back to me. If it's Aries, if it's selfhood, it implies otherness as well. If it's the self, it implies others, seeing the self, seeing me. If it's Taurus, if it's having, the other side of that is desiring when we don't have it. If it's communicating and thinking in Gemini, it's also philosophizing and being curious and having that will to try and see things from a higher perspective so that maybe there's more data that we're not fully looking at, or the full picture of what each of those puzzle pieces comes together to create the whole picture of. If it's Cancer, if it's feeling very personally about something, and your feelings getting hurt, then it's also implying Capricorn, some social way that that fits in, where we can find a use for these energies and make it useful and give it a purpose, right? A use. If it's Leo, if it's creativity, then it's also how does that creativity fit into the collective, our collective ideas, our collective values, or the things that we're all dealing with as a people. How does that piece of art reflect the entire culture, for example, of the times, the spirit of the times? And how is it an urge unconsciously to get away from the group so that you can breathe, so you can be your own self, so you can discover who you are? If it's Virgo, if it's analytical, if it's us trying to fix something, then it's also at the other end, our acceptance of imperfections. And through that, the ability to see the beauty of the whole. So all these signs have their complements. Oops. And these complements can feel at times like contention. It can feel like challenge. It can feel like, um, you know, opposition really is the word because they are all opposite. And let me make sure that you are looking at this in the right way. Okay. So opposites create opposition, and astrology is one of the key ways that we learn how to manage this in our own relationships with other people, as well as with our relationship with ourself. So now that you can see this in your head, Mars is at the first, Venus is in the second, Mercury is third, Moon is fourth, Sun is fifth, and so on. You can see a pattern here. Do you see it? You see it in the oppositions where Mars is always complemented by Venus energy, and Venus is complemented by Mars, and Mercury is complemented by Jupiter. See that from both ends? Moon is complemented by Saturn, and Sun is complemented by Saturn. So the life and the form are complements. Thinking and then philosophizing or intuiting are complements because we have to make leaps sometimes in our knowledge. Loving is complemented by doing, and doing is complemented by loving and receiving that love. Okay, so here's a magnificent system. And if you wrote this all out, this is imprinted on your mind now, especially subconsciously, and that will reveal some secrets to you. Many secrets will just come out of that. Whoops. Once again, whoops. Okay, and there's an amazing movie called The Arrival, the newer one. The Arrival. It's about this alien. I won't spoil anything, but well, I am going to spoil this, so that I'm not. It's won't ruin the movie, but I mean, I think people who worry about spoilers are just silly. Can I just say that something real quick? Like, if you spoil the movie for me, whatever. You didn't spoil the movie. You just told me what happens, but I'm watching the movie to see how it happens. So I don't really care if you tell me what happens. But anyways, sorry, that's just my own personal thing about I just don't get like freaking out about it being spoiled. But in The Arrival, the aliens speak a language. So they hire a language expert. She's like a university teacher. They hire her to hopefully communicate with these aliens so they can figure out why they landed on Earth. Yep, it's true, Thule. I'll give you that. Except if you tell who the murderer is. True. Okay, I get it. I get it. Um, and so the language expert is trying to figure out how to work with the aliens. And the aliens have this language, which is a whole circle. This is all I'm going to say. So it's a whole circle. So it's their language is non-linear, is what they find. And then by learning to understand the language, it starts to change their brain. It starts to expand the consciousness of the human beings, which was the purpose for the aliens landing. And I won't ruin it any more than that, but that's just like astrology. When you learn to study birth charts, you see a non-linear pictorial representation of a person's life and their psyche, and how within their psyche, based on their perception and beliefs and the archetypes that they're operating under, you could sort of get a picture for how their life is going, or how it could go, or how it's going to go. And with the right questions, you can go so deep into somebody's mind. That's why I love doing what I do. I love giving readings. I love reading a new chart. Every new chart is like, wow, look at this. Because they're all different. Every chart is totally unique. And it's that circular language when you learn how to see what we just drew out today in this video, and you can see it in your head. You see Aries opposite Libra, Taurus opposite Scorpio, Gemini opposite Sagittarius. You see these not 12 signs, but 6 pairs of opposites. You see 6 pairs of signs. Now it'll start to work on your consciousness. And in life, you'll start to see how there's always the opposite implied in any experience. If you're hot, that implies cold. You put ice in your drinks. If you're cold, that implies hot. You start drinking hot tea. But in every experience, the opposite is always there as a shadow. And this allows you to appreciate when you're feeling good, knowing that maybe there will be a time very like right around the corner where you're not going to be feeling as good. Or when you're feeling sick and you're feeling bad, then you're resting in bed and you go, this is just a time for rest. There will be a time where I feel good. It's sort of the ability to include all that you see within the circle of your psyche. And you just go, this too, and also this. And the ability to not resist, but to study our experiences and to always know that there's an opposite. That's a different kind of swagger you can bring into your life, into your world. And you can see that it's not so much about vanquishing the opposite, but that, appreciating the opposite. So we know that there's violence and that there's crime. And that's why we value and we appreciate peace and harmony and lawfulness, you know? And so beyond moral judgments, there's a season for all things. There's a season for sleeping and resting. There's a season for waking and activity. There's a time for sowing and planting and a time for harvesting and reaping. And so we just have to know, where am I at in my life? And you can learn that through your progressions, through the transits in your chart. You can see, okay, what season am I in right now? If your progressed moon is in Taurus, it's a season for relaxing and grounding and getting into a rhythm and slowing down. If your progressed moon is in Gemini, then it's a time for getting out there and connecting and communicating and writing that book, you know, communicating with your world, sharing your message. So you can see what time it is through this. And I just really hope that this helped. And I love you so much. So these are the astrology basics. We're going to get deeper into some more deep things with astrology next week. If you want to join these live on Friday, it's available for you. They're totally free for now until I close this group and we start getting real deep together in a tight-knit group when my course launches. And so reach out to me if you want to join the free ones. Thank you so much for liking this video. It really helps with the algorithm, commenting your thoughts or your questions, and of course, subscribing if you're not subscribed, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on a video when it comes out. I love you. Peace be with you. Be blessed. And I will see you very soon. Peace.